Welcome back to Squawk Box. I want to bring in Roger Altman, Evercore founder and senior chairman. He served as deputy Treasury secretary in the Clinton administration. There's about a million things to talk about. I don't even know where you want to start, but I would go straight at the tariff piece maybe more than anything, and sort of what are you actually seeing? We keep hearing from CEOs who seem to be very happy on television, telling us about how they're bringing manufacturing back to the U.S. Are they really happy?
No. The answer is no. I mean, I may not know a lot of things, but I know what many big cap public company CEOs are thinking. And they universally, in my experience, don't like the tariffs, are either already experiencing softness in their business or are sure that they will, and think it's a policy error of great magnitude.
Do you believe that a deal or deals can get done over the next 90 days? And by the way, we're probably now closer to 70 days to capture that window, where all of a sudden, if those deals are in place, it changes the dynamic materially?
Well, it's possible, and we should all hope so. I mean, if they are able to rattle off bilateral deals with Korea, Japan, India, yes, and so forth, I mean, that'll be positive. But look, the basics of this are pretty simple. Tariffs raise prices, reduce consumption, therefore less is produced, and therefore less growth and less jobs.
Tell me what's happening on the corner office as it relates to mergers, IPOs, fundraising, all the stuff that you work on all the time.
Well, there's a lot of pent-up demand. You see that in backlogs around the whole industry, our industry, and smaller things like engagement letters and conflict checks. But this level of volatility and uncertainty makes it hard to pull the trigger often. So if there's one, over all the years that we've talked, if there's one thing that investors don't like and businesses don't like, it's uncertainty. And we're in a period of very high uncertainty, including that the administration has been on again and off again in various ways with the imposition of the tariffs.
Right.
So
how much of it is the tariff piece of it? I'm curious what you think of sort of the regulatory regime at this moment, because part of the argument had been that this administration was going to be open for business, everybody could merge left and right, and there was, all systems go.
I think it's a little too early to say, with one exception. The administration seems to be essentially continuing the Biden approach on antitrust as it relates to big tech. Now, we'll see if that really is the case, but that seems to be the case at the moment. Otherwise, we haven't had a lot of examples. I think this administration will be less restrictive outside of tech, but we just have to wait for the cases and see, and some big announcements and see if that's true.
Would you say most of the people you're talking to are hopeful, meaning that they have a sense that, come this summer, that the world is going to shift in a positive direction, or that they may all be anxious, but I mean, is it a hopeful anxiousness or is it a dire anxiousness?
I think it varies with each company because, of course, not every single company is affected by the tariff war at all. But for those businesses which tend to be the really large ones especially, I think there's a certain grim character or a sense of this being a grim task because they don't know where this will go, what the end game is, when it's resolved. And, look, there are some premises here that are just not correct. Imports are bad. No, imports are not bad. Imports allow Americans to access goods and services they want and to buy certain things more cheaply. And then the whole idea that if we're running a trade deficit with country A, that country is ripping us off. In the case of China, I believe that's true. But if you look at so many other countries, say Colombia, they produce coffee, with the exception of Hawaii. We don't. We buy lots of coffee from Colombia. If that was the only trade between the U.S. and Colombia, we'd be running a trade deficit. Trump would say we're ripping them off. They're ripping us off, rather, but we're not.
What kind of advice are you giving, to the extent that you're offering advice to businesses that are thinking about this tariff situation over not just this immediate piece, but longer term, and they say to themselves, I should be bringing manufacturing back to the U.S. I should be moving it to some other country. What should I be doing? What are you telling them now? And I ask because we're also seeing, we had Mary Barr on. Jim Farley from Ford was out yesterday talking about how they're going to try to be bringing more manufacturing back to the U.S. You have the CEO of NVIDIA saying this. Apple came out with an announcement a month and a half ago saying they're doing $500 billion. Do you look at that and say that's real? That's being driven by all of this? It's being driven by something else?
Well, first of all, I think it is real. In some cases, these companies had plans for investment in the United States, which they expanded.
Right.
In other cases, these are brand new plans, but I think it is real. And I think it is important. But not every company can do that,
right,
depending upon what they produce and the cost of production and so forth. It's going to be very difficult, for example, for pharmaceutical industry to move so much production, which is currently in Ireland and other places, right, to the United States on an economic basis. But and I think it is real.
Right. Good.
Oh, I was thinking, I was actually just thinking about the one of the basic tenets of economics is comparative advantage. It's generated so much prosperity over centuries. But then again, I think about globalization in the last 50 years, and it's not perfect the way it's happened. I'm wondering if there's some way of keeping the best of both worlds, and maybe that's what we're trying to do right now. We don't want to do everything here. We want to do it where it's cheaper, but we'd like to do some things here and not hollow out the middle class and close 60,000 factories in the process.
Well, you're right about that last point, and I think that explains more than anything else the polarization we have in this country, and we haven't done a good job in
Can we do both?
adjustment.
Though? We're not going to grow coffee, obviously, in the United States, probably.
Well, over the long term, I think we can do both. And this surge in investment in the United States is going to be good, although it's going to take a long time to revitalize certain communities and make those changes. And we have some pretty deep-seated problems there.
You should have asked me to. I wouldn't have said anything. We would have gotten out, and they wouldn't be yelling at me. Roger.
Thank you, Roger.
Thank you, guys.
Coming up next, Meta and Microsoft trading higher, both saying that AI demand remains strong. We're going to talk tech after the break.